Hello, I'm Shakir Miah from Student Views, and in this video I'm going to be interviewing the principal. So, first question is, how has the pandemic and the lockdown restrictions affected GCSE grades? Have the performance of the students improved or gone down on average?
So that's a really good question, isn't it? So our students here do GCSEs just in English and maths, and they are students who are resitting their English and maths because they haven't got a grade 4 at school.
Yeah.
So we won't know what the actual results are until the 12th of August. But the whole reason for exams being cancelled is that we can set assessments for our students just based on the learning that they've been able to do. So in that case, they shouldn't be any worse than they are in any other year. And in any other year, our students get really good GCSE results here, resit. So I'm feeling optimistic that we'll still get students, the same number of students who passed the GCSE this year as previous years. It's just been a bit of a narrower specification that they've been able to learn.
You know the D108 room, how much did it cost to renovate that room? Because it used to be like the worst room in this college. Now it's improved so much.
Well, I have absolutely no idea how much that costs because we have a deputy principal in charge of finance who deals with that. I do know though that for any renovations like that we get funding from projects. Because we never get enough money in the college just to renovate things nicely, so we use T-level funding to do that. So it didn't put a lot of pressure on our own purse strings at college. But it's a good room, isn't it?
Yeah. What did you think of that room before it was renovated, and what do you think of it now?
Well, I wish we could have all our rooms, especially in DSM, especially for IT students, looking like that. I think industry standard, office ready looking would be such a better environment for all of you. So that would be my wish. I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, it wasn't a great room, was it, beforehand? I remember, and it's just a transformation.
I heard that you were a keen runner. So how has the coronavirus pandemic affected your running? Have you been able to run as much as you wanted to?
Well, that's a really good question, because when we went into the first lockdown in March, I did increase my running because I was working at home, so I had a bit more time, and I increased my running, but I increased it a bit too much, and then I ended up getting injured. So from a few months ago, I've not been doing as much because I've been injured. But I still try and run though.
Alright, how has the money been spent in Nelson and Colne College? Because I've heard a lot of it went into this theatre.
Okay, good. So we did spend some money on this theatre, replacing the lighting, making the sound system better. It's a shame really because we haven't been able to get proper use out of it because we've had the pandemic, but when we get back to normal we'll have this being used as for extracurricular, watching film clubs for students as well. But it might seem like a lot of money to you as an individual, but in the grand scheme of things it wasn't very much money. It costs nothing really to do a bit of refurbishment and a bit of upgrading compared to say building a whole new building. So what we do, it's complicated, the finances, because we have different pots of money for different things. So sometimes we get capital bids, they're called. So when we redid the whole of engineering, that was because we got given some extra money, but we had to spend it on that. We couldn't just decide to spend it on the library or the theatre. So it's not just a simple, let's just spend all this money on this. It's all linked to how much money we get from the bids that we go for. It's like winning a competition. You get some money, but there's all these strings attached. You have to spend it on this, that, or the other.
All right. What are you thinking about lockdown restrictions being lifted? Do you want them to be lifted by the 21st of June?
Yes. I don't know anyone who doesn't. We're desperate to get back to a normal, but we've got to be planning for the fact there might be something carrying on into next term. We've got to be planning for the fact that there might be another lockdown. We just don't know what's going to happen with the variants. But we are all, me and the rest of the senior leadership team, absolutely desperate to get back to normal.
By the 21st of June?
Yes, definitely. Which, from your point of view, students' point of view, it's not going to make much difference because you'll have finished at college by the 21st of June. But, you know, in terms of for all our staff and teachers working for a couple of weeks, we have lots of taster days with the year 10s and 11s coming in. We want it to be a normal experience. And then when you start back in September, keep your fingers crossed.
Right. So, do you prefer working from home?
No.
No.
I don't. I think home should be for home and work should be for home. So I would prefer it. But to be honest, I do know that some people like a bit more flexibility to be able to do that if they can.
Have you been able to do like more work at home if you needed to?
That's a really good question. Yeah, probably am a bit more efficient because you naturally get less interruptions. Yeah, but I need to be here. It's, you know, it's important. It's my college.
All right. So.
Do you work better from home?
Work better.
Or do you prefer to be in college?
I don't know. I think I have done like more work at college because I don't have like any distractions at home. To be honest.
Yeah.
As the pandemic began over a year ago, have you like gotten used to it by now?
Yes, I think that there is an element of that, and that's exactly the key thing. Is like you said, over a year ago. So as time passes, we all get used to new things. You know, like I'm just used to wearing a mask inside, and that's just normal. But that doesn't mean to say that's what we want. You know, being used to something's different to it being desirable or something that we want. So I'm sure I'm no different to anyone else in wanting that to be over and not be having to worry about students not socially distancing or staff being able to sit next to each other in the staff room.
Do you think it's worth it to like invest in like better computers now, or do you think they're good enough for now?
That's a question. It's the biggest challenge, isn't it, around technology, is that it's always changing and improving, and we have to make a balance between having the equipment that's good enough and, you know, industry quality enough so that you're prepared to go when you go out to work, but we can't spend all our money on it either. So it's a constant need to review what we've got, look at what we need and try and bridge that gap. But it's definitely better than it was 18 months ago, but we're probably never going to be as good as it could be because of the ever-changing nature of it.
All right. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right.